Thank you. Okay, welcome everybody. Today is, oh my gosh, I don't even know what day of the week it is.
Wednesday.
I do know that. Wednesday, June 2nd, 2021. It's the Council on Aging Board meeting. And I may read this for the last time. Pursuant to Governor Baker's March 12th, 2020 order suspending certain provisions of the open meeting law and imposing strict limitation on the number of people that may gather in one place, this meeting of the Southampton Council on Aging was conducted via remote participation. And it may be my last reading of that. We'll figure that out as the next month goes by. So I'd like to call the meeting to order. Let me just go through the list of people for Kay who's listening to us and for recording. The members that are here are Lori Lazelle, Jim Palermo, Kay Lorigan, Janet Kane, Jonathan J. alternate, Sylvia Galvan alternate for the next month. And as long as you get on the select board agenda to appoint you. So welcome everyone.
How about Joan Linehan, director, and Rini?
Well, I'm getting there. Somebody just came in, so give me a second. Also in attendance is Joan Linehan, the COA director, and Maureen Groden, our select board liaison. And joining us is Josie Alderman. So again, welcome to everybody. Approval of minutes. Does anybody have any, do we have a motion to approve, and then we can open up discussion?
I'll make a motion to approve.
Okay, do we have a second?
I'll second it.
I'll second it.
Josie beat you to it. Welcome, Josie. Discussion, any changes, or there can't be any improvements, but just any changes?
Of course not.
Look good.
No discussion. I'll take a vote in order. Lori?
Yes.
Jim?
Yes.
Kay?
Yes.
Josie?
Yes.
Janet? Yes. Okay, great. Okay, thank you. Treasurer's report, and I can share that if you would like.
Sure, if you would be willing.
I'm always willing. Not always able, but I'm always keen.
Oh, boy.
I've known you for 3.5 years. I've never heard that, so.
Let's hope we don't hear it again.
So always a first.
There's always a first. I'm going to hide a couple rows here so we can see this as we talked about last time, because it's hard. Oops, come here, guys. I'll try not to delete anything. Okay, so we can see, we still don't have enough. My apologies, hold on. I don't have Nancy here. What am I gonna do? Oops, yikes. Okay, bear with me. Nope, it wants to move the row for me. All right, we're gonna stick with what we have for now. Okay, so any questions on it? So it looks like in the balance here, wages, we calculated this, I think yesterday with Joan, and we should have enough to pay her through the end of the year, right, Joan?
Yes.
And we're in good standing with Darlene and with
Hello?
in the wage line. Okay, let me see if I can do this again. I gotta hide a few more rows here so we can all see this. There we go. We're in good shape with Darlene. That wage line, the town wages. We've got $5,800 left in the state formula grant, correct? So based on the updated report from Nancy. The only thing, Joan, did you hear back from Ed regarding when we're going to start paying? I mean, I saw that, so we haven't started paying Flo since her PCF was approved. So we're still paying her at her old rate of $12.24 instead of $13.50. And it looked like, I don't know if you had received anything before, that he was asking you to calculate how much is retroactive back to January, since I guess I assumed they would start paying her $13.50 when the PCF was approved, but that didn't happen, so.
So I did answer him. I said it was about $90. We have it plenty in our formula grant to pay her. So I'm shooting for tomorrow's, we have a payroll due tomorrow.
Uh-huh.
I'm shooting to get it on tomorrow, but I haven't, we have a 10 o'clock department head meeting, and I will verify that. And if I can put it in tomorrow's payroll, I will.
For her retroactive pay till January.
Right. I think it's two different things. I don't know. It's her regular pay. Her pay will be switched plus her retro. I'm not sure it can be included in one pay, or if it needs to be a separate sheet. I don't know. I'll find out.
I just thought it was unusual. We hadn't started paying her once the PCF was approved. So
I did ask earlier, and he said not to.
I know. I was on that. Yes, I know. I appreciate you inquiring. So if you need any help with that, just, I'm sure Nancy would be happy to kind of run through it. I'm happy to double check your numbers if you want.
Sure.
If you feel that helps, I'm happy to do that. So, so it's a difference between $13.50 and $12.24. So we'll talk about that tomorrow. Okay. So we still have, and we'll talk a little bit later on in the meeting about any needs that we have for the center that we can purchase in June. It's a short window, so we have to jump on that, right, Joan? I mean, that becomes a squeeze, right? So.
Well, after payroll's due tomorrow, that'll be my number one priority.
Okay, great, good. Any other questions on the state formula grant at this point in time? So there's, again, we have 14,490. Is that a 6 or 8? 96 that the state provides us based on our 2010 head count for seniors in town, and $12 per senior. So right now our goal is to spend that, and Adam, you didn't speak to Adam. Is it Adam?
I did not today.
Okay. Yeah, I'm assuming the state always expects us to spend it. We don't want to be frivolous what we buy, so we want to make sure we make thoughtful purchases. Usually we don't have a large chunk at the end of the year, but it's been a unique year. So, okay, the FRITA, the wages and expenses, when was that last updated? Do we have anything we're waiting to hear from? Did we get the third quarter from FRITA?
We got the third quarter, correct. And that was probably last month.
Okay.
We haven't looked at it in earnest.
I mean, is there money missing from here that we need to put in that?
Not that I'm aware of.
Okay. Okay. I guess we should just cross-reference that. And I know either sit with, maybe we can make sure we sit down with Ed. If Regina's not as well versed on the grant, then maybe get some time with you, Nancy, and Ed, Joan, if you can, to make sure we have everything covered.
Yes, I believe Michael from FRITA wanted to have another Zoom call as well.
Regarding?
The budget.
Okay. All right. So I'm happy to listen in if you schedule that, okay?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, great. Let me see. The other thing over here with the CARES Act Grant 2, I have a new spreadsheet that I asked Chris to give us an updated number from her. Now she says it's around 19,500 in CARES Act funds. So we need to sit with her and Nancy and go through that sheet. And I'll bring it up in a second when we get up to that aspect, or we may do it after we take a look at this. So we have more money than it's listed at the top of the sheet. So we're not over, Joan, I guess is the good news.
Yes, that is good news.
That is good news. Okay. And the Highland Valley grant, that's been done for a while. Any, and we can have a motion, a first and a second, and then we can open it up for discussion. Do we have a motion to accept the treasurer's report?
So moved.
Do we have a second?
I'll
Second.
second.
Okay, that was Lori this time. It was almost a tie. Okay, open up for discussion. Anyone have any questions or need further detail on anything that we were discussing?
Go ahead, Jay. Jonathan.
Jonathan?
So, again, so the money that's remaining is in the row that's labeled remaining?
Yes.
Okay, and does all of it, except for a few things, have to be spent by the end of June? Or we lose it?
Well, the state formula grant is the key one. FRITA, because it's an unusual year, hopefully they won't cut us down because we don't spend, I mean, we can't do anything more with FRITA than we've already done, with the transportation. We can only do so many people in the van. We're not taking trips. So that doesn't have to be spent, but hopefully they'll look at the year and not assess us for a lesser amount next year, because it's going to be a very different year. And the CARES grant obviously has to be spent by the end of this year, the calendar year. And what else am I missing?
Which was the first one that you noted?
Okay, the column D here is the state
Okay.
formula grant. We're basically required to spend it or maybe be reassessed next year. So I'm not sure if we're still we have a new number of seniors in town after the 2020 census. We also have, based on the proposal from Governor Baker, $9 per person versus $12 per person. And I don't know if I don't know that that's been finalized. Do you know, Joan?
I do not know.
Okay, so, I mean, we were still getting more money than we got this year, but less, per person. So some communities are not in that position, so. But the expectation is they're giving us money and we need it and that we need to use it, so. Okay.
So I guess my question is, how much money does it look like we'll have at the end of this month, the end of the fiscal year, that is not required to be spent, that we could carry over or put somewhere else?
Well, there's, so for instance, the town expenses. So I know Joan has a couple of things that was going to be charged to the town expense, Joan, the $1,200 in column I.
We were looking at that. I need to verify that it can be spent in that manner.
What?
Well, we talked about the refinishing of the floors, but I'm not sure that that would be an acceptable use of the expense line or not. I need to verify that.
I mean, I don't know who makes that decision but you.
No, I think I should check with the town administrator, and I don't know. It would have been the accountant. She would have probably been able to give me some advice on that as well, but we're without her right now.
I know, but it's our expense account. So I mean, I understand the state formula grant has to have some approvals, and I mean, absolutely talk to Ed. But again, if we're going to schedule it after the election, then, and if it doesn't come out of the town budget, otherwise, we need to look and what office supplies we need to, otherwise, Jonathan, whatever that balance is would go into free cash for the town.
For the town, okay.
Yep. But that's basically anything that we don't spend in our budget would go into free cash, certified free cash next year in our town expenses or our town wages. I mean, that doesn't mean we should try to spend it down totally. We need to be fiscally responsible. So if we don't spend all of, for instance, the town wages, then that money would also carry over probably into free cash next year.
So in other words, we don't get to keep it in our budget.
Nope.
Correct.
Goes into free cash. Okay?
The only thing we can carry over is that revolving account, which we haven't used. So if we needed to get something that, say we purchased something and we were just a little bit shy, either in the expense account or the state formula grant, we could use the revolving account.
Yeah, that doesn't go away at the end of the fiscal year, correct? Okay? Is that help?
And can I make one comment on,
You may.
the remaining line
Mhm.
is what we have been tracking throughout the year,
Mhm.
and those are our numbers.
Mhm.
However, we have to, somehow they have to match with what the accountant's numbers are. And an example of that would be with Frida, because there's often a lag. So what we have may not match with what the accountant has, because there's this lag and this very complicated, which I never did figure out completely, way of, how they evaluate what we've spent.
But I keep saying we have the checkbook and near the bank, so that when the check's clear, it goes to the accountant and that's her line. So we write the checks, that's our line,
Yeah.
but they have to clear to go to the accountant's line. So, but I again, this is an old line from the end of April. So that's why, Josie, I was recommending that we sit down with FRTA, with Michael,
Right.
and make sure we're in sync here. So. Yeah, I mean, they're doing right now, if you watched the select board meeting last night, they were doing end of year transfers in case something's not, we've overspent in the category, if you can move money from one category to another. So if, for instance, we were short $20 for Joan's wages, we could take that from maybe the other wage line or the expense line, and with finance committee approval and select board approval, transfer that money. But I don't see right now that we're going to need to do any transfer. I think we'll be in good shape. But yeah, we definitely need to get with Frida, as Josie also said, but within the next week, to make sure we're in good shape. Okay. So we have a motion, we have a second. Do we have, let's call to order. Josie,
Aye.
Lori,
Aye.
Jim,
Aye.
Kay,
Aye.
and Janet, aye. Okay, great. And a nice job by Nancy, as usual. Thank you. Okay, I'm just also going to see if I can share quickly. This is kind of like the document Chris sent Joan and I, because I had asked, we weren't quite sure of our total amount of monies for the CARES Act. So according to Chris's spreadsheet, we were given 19,510. This is everything that we've spent to date, or the total is, of what we were given was 19,510. So we've spent a little over 15. So I know they'll be looking at this, Joan, as we move into probably next year, to see if there's money that we haven't spent yet or that needs to be reallocated to another group in the community, in town hall. So what my question is the items in green was that they were unbudgeted. So they don't appear to be part of the CARES fund. So we need to get clarification on that from Chris. And if they're not, and they were processed under CARES, make sure that they're being handled appropriately.
So in the first CARES Act, there was a big push to do, obviously, the plexiglass and the sanitizer, but also we talked about outdoor activities. And that's how the mobile book cart came in, and that's how the coolers came in, because if you recall, in December, we did a grab and go meal, which many senior centers do every single day, but we did try one in December, and we were lucky to have a good day. But that's where those came from, was a request, and the giveaways. We do have set aside money for shelf-ready food, which is down further,
Yes.
$1,500. So we were going to do that again. I think the grocery giveaway, I'm not sure if we paid that through Friends or in donations. I have to research that because it's been a few months.
Well, apparently the mobile book cart and the coolers were not part of the original CARES Act funds for the second part, according to this spreadsheet. So we need to sit with Chris and make sure that that the government will reimburse us for those things. And I think her question was, is the shelf-ready food the same as the grocery giveaway? So we just need to get with her, Joan, and make sure that, because we've paid out 15,802. So we just need to sit through her and make sure that, get together with her and make sure that we're in good shape. Okay?
Sure.
That there's nothing that should be reallocated somewhere else because we won't get reimbursed for it.
Okay.
Who is Chris?
Chris
Fowles.
Fowles.
Oh, okay.
She's
And-
sort of like heading up the grant committee, so she's kind of taken over
Okay.
some of the tracking
Thank
of
you.
it. So,
Uh-huh.
okay.
I know her well.
Okay, great. Any questions on this? So those green items are a question mark for me. And it says we've paid for them. But I guess we just need to understand what I sent her an email and said, what does this mean unbudgeted? So hopefully we'll get an answer back. Okay?
Mhm.
Okay. I mean, they all had good purposes, for sure. It's just, I want to make sure we get reimbursed, the town gets reimbursed for them. Okay, so did we vote? We voted on the treasurers. Yes, okay, good, Janet. Okay, so let me see what we have from Joan for the director's report.
I should put an asterisk on a few highlights just so that I can talk about something. If something catches your eye, we can talk about it. But I guess my big discussion was, and it'll come up in the Friends report, was the outside silent auction, which many of you attended. And I'll let Kay speak to that when it's her turn. But the other thing was the ad hoc. I put CAD hoc. It's an ad hoc committee.
Which number are you on, Joan?
I'm on number 19.
Okay. Thank you.
So an ad hoc grant committee, I had the pleasure and the privilege of working with this group 4 Wednesdays in a row. And at the 13th hour, or the whatever hour they call it.
It was the 11th hour. It
The
wasn't.
11th hour, yes. And it really wasn't, because it was due Monday, the holiday, the 31st. And I don't know if it's at midnight or what time, but I just,
5 o'clock.
5 o'clock. Thank you. It was in my mind and that it should be done my last working day before I went away for a 4-day vacation. So I thank the committee for agreeing with me, and Caitlin and Janet and Chris. Chris came into my office and showed me how to cut and paste grants, and we were able to send it off. And there was a power outage at the town hall at approximately 3 o'clock. Some car hit a pole on College Highway. Somehow a miracle happened and we didn't lose the grant, and we were able to send it. As far as I know, it's in the hands of the Highland Valley. I wonder if I should call her and just make sure that.
You don't get a receipt that it was received or anything?
Well, that's what Chris expected.
Yeah.
I haven't looked for one today, and I have a lot of emails. I could do that tomorrow. what was her name? Kelly? Is it Kelly? McCarthy? McCarthy. So we didn't have our meeting this week. Normally I have the Highland Valley meeting the Monday before this meeting, but because we started on a Tuesday, it'll be next Monday. But I'm really excited about the grant. I don't know if many of you read it or were involved with any of the planning. I know Janet, obviously, and Laurie, I know is, there's a few people that were actively involved in it. And I think it was a really good project, a great project. We did a lot of brainstorming. We did a lot of research. Other people did research that we used. And I really believe it was a really good product. Will we get the grant? It's time will tell. And in fact, they do interviews. I don't know if it's when you get the grant or in conjunction with the grant, they do interviews. And Caitlin said she would sit in on the interviews if we asked. I don't know if we can have more than one person.
Yeah, I would say that it was an amazing team effort. Joan came up with a great idea to have this memory cafe. We did the caregiver support group, the one-time thing through Mercy Life. Thank you to Nancy Ruscio for setting that up. Definitely was a need, and we saw people that we had never met before. And this is kind of like a nice next step with a memory cafe. And Joan did, again, had a great brainchild. Kate did a lot of research. We brainstormed and looked up things. Diana came in, Fetterman came in to do some wordsmithing at the end and make some recommendations as a great writer. And so it was really a good team effort. And then like with anything, any written document, it's always good to have a second set of eyes. So instead of leaving Joan to cut and paste by herself, Chris, I think just came to town halls to again, play that role as a second set of eyes. So I'm optimistic. I think there's no reason we shouldn't get it.
How much are we asking for?
So $4,000 a year, so a total of $8,000. It was just under $4,000. I think once we did the wages and the equipment, et cetera, it was just under $4,000.
Okay.
So, Joan, do you have the final document that you cut and paste from?
Yes.
That maybe you could send, or you send to me and send out to the board members, and
Yes.
just so everybody can have a copy on file. So
Yes.
2 years from now, when it's being renewed, everybody has a copy.
Yeah, I'd be glad to do that.
Good.
Good, thank you.
Can I ask who's Caitlin?
Caitlin Swistek Rook, R-O-O-K. She came to one of our meetings. She's a member of the Board of Health, and she's also on the ad hoc grant committee. She also works at Armbrook in Westfield. She's a nurse by trade, and made a lot of appointments for seniors.
Vaccine appointment. She's quite a firecracker.
Yes.
Yeah.
She's one of those people that's awake at 2:00 in the morning, or will wake up at 2:00 in the morning to get things done. So anyway, she did a great job, and supported the whole grant committee, quite honestly. So, all right. Thanks, Jonah. And I see that you have, okay, so we have Darlene.
Yeah, and Darlene came in the office on the 26th so that I could work on the grant. She is coming back on the 16th. As far as I understand, and Rini can tell me that is the center being open on the 16th of June?
Well, that's on the agenda. We'll get into that shortly.
Okay. Anyway, that's her plan, is to come in on the 16th.
Okay.
And she's been very active with all the Zoom, the bingo and the online dancing and phone calls and support, senior support when we need to make phone calls or check in on people. She's, I delegate that to her.
Okay.
And she was involved a little bit with the silent auction. She came and supported it.
Yeah, good. Okay, and then Flo has been in the office.
Right, since April 1st.
Darlene obviously does a lot remotely, probably works more hours than she does in the office, so when she's remote. And her value will be required definitely when we reopen.
And so she's such a wealth of knowledge. She knows so many people in town, and she's back on doing the service list, the community care program, and following up with that. And she's involved with several of the walking group, the Healthy Bones and Balance group, and so she's key. She knows so many, and again a key player in the silent auction.
Okay, great. Okay, any questions for Joan?
Can I ask a question about the silent auction?
Sure.
Are you saying no, Joan?
No, I'm saying yes. So that was Lori. I don't know what that was about.
Oh.
She stepped away. I think Kay's going to report on it, but we go ahead. Ask a question. Go ahead.
Well,
Segue.
I got the Look Park package, which is great. And, but I don't know the name of the woman who put that together. She was in one of the photographs with either you and one of the photographs that went out with the mailing, I guess, about it.
You have a name?
No, that's the problem. I don't have a name.
So
I just wanted to say she did a fantastic job putting it together.
Okay.
And Doric was totally impressed.
Lori might know, but she stepped away.
I went, yes. Didn't want to cough in the middle of the meeting.
Okay. Do you know who put together the Look Park package for the silent auction?
The basket.
I would think it was probably Mary.
Oh, yes, it was, because Bill
works at
Look Park.
Mary who?
Ahern,
Mary Ahern, okay.
neighbor down the street on Hillside Meadows.
Well, if you see her, just, give our appreciation. And it was very nicely put together.
She does all the baskets. She does a fantastic job.
She did 7 or 8, I think.
And Doric's feeling was it was probably more stuff in there than what we contributed. But anyway.
I have a question about that.
You're pleased. Huh?
How many pieces of candy were in the jar?
Oh,
386, I think.
what was it, Kay?
Was it 386?
You didn't win it, Jim?
I know Flo won it, but I think that's what it was.
I think you're right, Kay. I know it
But
was.
she's the one who put the candy in,
Okay, everybody. Okay, let's get back on track, please. Since this is a good lead-in for the update from Kay on the Friends. Go ahead, Kay.
Oh, hi. This is Kay. Yeah, they had a meeting yesterday, and we had it outside of the senior center, and it was a very pleasant meeting. And they went over, the regular meeting, but they also reported on the silent auction, and it was very successful. And they had a lot of discussion on the pros and cons, and I believe the pros won because there were so many pros and very little cons, and they did do well financially on it, much better than the tag sale that they've had other years. And it was a lot of work, and there's a lot of things that they had to learn, and hopefully they're discussing having it next year, and they've learned so much from this one, and it probably will be more successful or easier next year. And there was a lot of discussion on different things that they want to do. So it was, everybody thought that it went very well, and it was very well presented for the first time. You know, the way they had to do it, and you know, everybody was very happy about it. So
Do you know how much was made?
Yes, well, on the treasurer's report, it's $3,169, but they got $30 in that day, so it's close to $3,200.
Wow.
Did they also?
And usually on the tag sales that I was familiar with, they used to make not close to 1,000, but sometimes not even 1,000. And it's a lot of work on tag sale too. So I think they're going to go for the silent auction for future years.
And I would like to thank the Friends of the Council on Aging, because without them, we you know, there will be things that we need moving forward. And without them, you know, they will help to make this, a lot of things possible. So,
Yes.
Yeah, on behalf of the Friends, I would like to say thank you, because the board members all showed, which was nice. Friends supports us, and we supported them.
yes.
Right.
Any other news from the Friends, Kay?
Oh, there was that was most of the meeting, but there were, you know, they're sending letters to donors. They're going to send, you know, follow-up letters to people who actually donated, and they talked about other things, upcoming bus trips, with which Joan reported on, and their future meetings. They're not going to have a meeting in July. They're going to have one in August, and also they're going to have a table at the Southampton Day.
Let's celebrate Southampton.
What is it?
It's called Let's Celebrate Southampton.
Right, in August. Yes, they're going to have a table there with information concerning the Friends and the senior center. And that was about it. Everybody really enjoyed the meeting, especially getting to see people in person. Yeah. And it looks like where we're going to open, everybody's has a different mindset about everything. So it was very, very enjoyable, So hopefully I'll see you guys sometime, and this will be my last report. But I'll pop in once in a while, I guess, just to say hello.
We'll remind you. You said that, and thank you.
Okay.
Again. As we said last meeting, thank you again for your contribution over the last 3 years. It's been very much.
Oh, thank you.
So.
We'll see you at the picnic too.
Yes, we'll see.
Oh, yes, yeah.
Yeah, you're not going away. So
no, I'm not going away.
That being said, then we need to have another volunteer from the board that will take over this responsibility as the representative to the Friends meeting from the COA. So, Kay, do you want, other than going to the meetings, can you share anything that you feel is, part of the requirements, or is it just to attend their meeting and make a report back?
That's generally what I did. I mean, I never really attended them before, and I joined. I'm a member now, but I will probably continue to go to their meetings, and I became, I really enjoyed the group, so I really became part of the group. So, it depends on, of course, Lori is a part of the group too. So, there's really no, I didn't do anything, extra that I wouldn't have done just as a member myself,
So it's a good way to kind of, we started this because the Friends would work this way and the board would work over here. And we found that maybe we weren't communicating as best as we needed to be to make sure we were all aligned. So we decided as a board to appoint a representative from the board to attend the Friends meeting once a month. So it's not a big commitment, but it is very good
No.
information that is, so that we make sure that we stay connected. So, I mean, I'm open for anybody that would like to volunteer to be the representative moving forward after starting in probably August, because it sounds like they aren't going to have a meeting in July.
So Catherine, when are the meetings usually held?
It's usually the first Tuesday of the month at 10:30.
Consider it.
I have a list. It's going to be August 3rd, September 7th, October 5th, November 9th, and December 7th for the year. So there's one, there's one a month. It's not a big commitment.
I'd be willing to do it, but as part of a tag team, maybe, just because I would always be available for that. I mean, I don't know. Kate, does it work to just have one person that that everyone gets to know, or can we do it like, one of two people maybe?
So let me just comment, because Lori is on the Friends as well. So if Jonathan, for instance, you weren't able to make a meeting, Lori is there, but she's also our vice chair. So I don't want to ask her to do this on top of being vice chair. So, I mean, your thought is if there's, we could do it as a tag team if I hadn't considered that, but then the tag would have to determine who's going to, meet, who's going to go which month.
Yeah, I just know that I could be unreliable regularly on Tuesdays, and also could be doing some traveling without, able to do it, connect by Zoom. And in any event, Zoom might be irrelevant this fall.
Right.
So, So I don't know. Is there anyone else who might be interested? I'd be willing to work out something to do some of it.
Well, I guess I'm the logical choice since I'm there at the meeting.
But again, you are also the vice chair, so I don't, there's plenty to pass around. I mean, we can fall back to you, Lori, if for some reason somebody can't make it, but between the other members, it's a good way to get to know some of the other people that are also involved in the senior center that aren't necessarily on the COA board. But I
usually have a commitment on Tuesday morning, so I'm afraid, I've gotten very used to that commitment that I might forget, which I'm going to do.
If you have a conflict, that's not,
Yeah. I mean, it's really quick. The meeting is usually an hour. So you're talking 10:30 to 11:30. And
let's start with Jonathan, and we'll go with Lori as a backup if Jonathan can't make it, okay?
But wait, if we're not going to go with the tag team thing, and I'm so saying about Lori, but I don't know. I do have a conflict on Tuesday mornings, and that's the entire morning. But it's everything's been thrown in disarray with things have been in abeyance during the pandemic.
Right.
So I can't make the commitment on a regular basis right now. I'd be willing to help out in some way.
Okay.
Thank you for helping at the silent auction, for setting up and breaking down. That was big.
Jonathan, thank you.
Sure, it was fun.
Okay, so anybody that doesn't have a commitment on Tuesday mornings once a month besides Lori?
And of course, come wintertime, I may be in Florida.
Oh, dear.
Lucky you.
Okay, so Lori, do you want to, let's have Jonathan as a tag team with Lori? Okay, does that work, Jonathan, for you?
Yeah. I mean, we'll see what happens. I mean,
Okay,
just because, a lot of things are in abeyance right now, including a travel schedule. So,
right. And it's, yeah.
and I
Okay.
have no idea what's going on.
If worse came to worse, we could invite one of the friends to give a report. Doesn't have to be a board member necessarily. I mean, like Flo Collins or somebody could take the time to attend a meeting to give a.
We could, but I think it shows a good faith on our part to attend their meetings once a month. So if it's possible.
I'll be there.
I know. You're not on the board, Joan.
All right, so, I'll be there. I'll take the notes.
Okay, and if you could let Jonathan know when the meetings are, Lori, then that way, if he's available, we'll.
If somehow it could be flagged for me, and then
Okay.
I can see if I can make a commitment at least a couple of weeks in advance.
We'll get your email to, who sends that out, Andrea or Flo?
Flo.
Flow usually, yeah.
Okay, so we'll get your email to Flo for August. Okay, Jonathan, just so if you're available, fine.
Okay.
And chances are Lori will be there, and then come when, as the seasons go through, we'll see, what we need to work out. But it's kind of an important connection. I mean, I know we have other connections. I know Joan's there. I know Lori's there. I just want to make sure we continue building that relationship. Okay, phew. So I'll get Jonathan, I'll just make a note to get Jonathan's email to Andrea. Or to Flo, sorry. All right. Thanks, Jonathan.
Sure.
All right. And again, thanks, Kay.
You're welcome.
New and old business. So we're talking about some purchases for the, let me go see if I can find it.
The planning meeting was very, very successful, I think, so.
Okay, so this number is now 58 and change, right, from the treasurer's report. So let's put 5,800 here. So
now we spent too much.
now we've spent too much, which is fine, because we're not going to get all of this in anyway. And we have $1,200 left for our expenses. And we just need to determine, and my apologies, my phone's ringing. Need to determine about the floors, Joan, and maybe, I don't know if there's anything left have you talked to Ed at all about the floors?
Not yet.
Okay, I know.
I can do that tomorrow.
It's on your to-do list with a whole, we keep adding to your to-do list, but we did put the floor cleaning here at 1,300. So if we do that, or take one of these things, certainly office supplies could come out of there. We were looking at some tower fans because during the Healthy Bones and Balance, I guess it gets a little toasty in there. So the air conditioning is not as strong. So that would be, I think, a request from some of our class members. We talked about our speaker system because the speakers are, when we have an event, especially when we have the luncheons and those are coming back, or we have a guest that speaks, we have one speaker, it kind of sticks in the middle of the room, right, Joan? Tell me if I'm wrong.
Right, no, that's what it is. So,
and it's really hard for people on both ends of the room to really hear. So I think something with 2 speakers on stands, and Jim did some research, and I know that I know you talked to Tim a little bit, right, Jim?
Yeah, actually, I talked to him a lot. The $900 is kind of the upper end.
Okay, I mean, that's...
as you know, remember, one of the things we mentioned, that I think the system was $340, but we didn't know if that'd be any better than what we've got already, because that really seemed to be low ball. But Tim indicated that, he even talked to you, Joan, and try to do some shopping around and get something that suits our needs. But he probably can come in under $900.
Yeah. Yep, that's kind of like the, as you said, top of it. And again, it does I think the greatest improvement, and Joan, you being at some of those luncheons and some of those events, is you just can't, the design of the room is just very difficult to hear from one end to the other.
Right.
So Joan, what were some of your key, I mean, if we have the money and we can do this, I think that would be really beneficial to the seniors in town.
Absolutely.
What do you think, what are some of the minimum requirements, or what to improve over what we already have? Right now, we have one speaker and a microphone, basically, right?
So some places have wireless mics, you know, look at a wireless mic. And we may, you know, I think that having two speakers on stands would help, you know, one on either end of the room. And I'm not sure how that all works, if it's Wi-Fi. I haven't really looked at that proposal yet, but I will in earnest. And I think Amazon is the kind of shopping of choice. Many of the things we're looking for are Amazon. So again, that's going to be on a priority list in the next week or so.
Not on my priority list.
Okay. And the Best Buy, I think, is an alternative. And then Jim said, you said there was one place in Northampton?
I was checking out Northampton Sound, but when I researched, there was more speakers for acoustic, for electric guitars and things of that nature. The idea, you're not going to have your speakers spaced one end. You're going to phase them towards either end. The wireless microphones, Tim thought was important, to have a built-in amplifier in one of the speakers and have the other speaker is a mule operating off of that.
What does that mean, Jim?
That it would just be a speaker. The amplifier and all the, the volume control and all that would be contained in the main speaker. And when that's attached to the other speaker, it would just broadcast. It didn't have any knobs or tuning on it at all.
Okay.
And the idea of the stands, because if it's on the floor, the furniture and people's legs and clothing and chairs and stuff muffles the sound. So you want it up high, so it will be free.
Okay.
Yeah.
Jim, is there any way of eliminating a stand and attaching it, to the wall in some way?
Bose has a system that you can do that. That actually becomes more expensive because then you have to pay for installation. And also you give up the ability to move it outside, for example, if they ever wanted to use it outside.
If we wanted to take it to the volunteer luncheon, for example, right?
Yeah.
Got it.
There is an issue of, making sure that people can lift the speakers onto the stand. But again, it's something we should consider, that they wouldn't be too heavy to do that.
Have you seen Joan lift those tables and carry them across the room?
Yeah. Well, I mean, they're superwoman, but, for us mere mortals.
Yeah.
Well, two of us could be able to do it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, it's like with Southampton Community Chorus, those things, and those speakers are very heavy, though. So I don't think we need that.
Yeah, I mean, that's a whole different requirement for somebody.
The main thing is speaking, and the music can, I'm sure would be adequate, too.
A lot of entertainers bring their own speakers. So.
Right.
But I think, but it's more for our use, or if there's, I think we do have a lot of speakers that come in that don't necessarily bring their own, and maybe they bring their own because we don't have anything that's
right.
Yeah. Well, a lot of them have their own special microphones that are tuned to enhance their voices and actually keep them on key.
Yeah. Okay, so I know, Joan, it's a big list here. We're going to have to work a lot here. So we talked about also some outdoor furniture. So we have this great awning, and we have we asked the tables to be moved, the picnic tables. So we thought about maybe if people want to have coffee outside, it might be nice to complement the awning by having, 4 to 8 chairs or something so people could sit. what does the board think about that? This is what kind of the subcommittee brainstormed about, so.
I think that would be very nice.
I mean, they'd be stackable, so we don't have to worry about, but we don't want to always bring the indoor chairs out and,
So you'd have outdoor chairs that will, won't get ruined by the weather and that sort of thing.
Right.
Well, they would be brought in for the winter months.
Yeah, for the winter months, it would be.
Oh, yeah. But during the summer and maybe fall, you could just leave them out there.
Yeah, hopefully we could leave them outside without worrying about them walking. So.
Yeah, and it's easy enough to get a some kind of covering to throw over them.
Sure. Yep. Maybe we should add that, right?
I mean, that's
Okay.
a minor expense. Can I just, Janet, I'm going to jump down
Okay.
to the 164. That's really the overage that we have. If we include everything that's on this list, we're only over $164. Do we have money in another account that we could
Yes.
take?
Yeah, I mean, like we could pay for the piano repair out of the, our expense account.
There you go. And I'll give you the $14 extra. That's an easy fix.
So, I mean, the things we can't shift are the wages and the instructors' wages. I mean, that's part of the state formula grant typically. So, and again, we were looking at some office supplies that if we didn't do the floors, we could, that would put us in the positive anyway. And the office supplies could go out of the town expense account as well. So we have, we started a beginner's pickleball class. And so the pickleball paddles that we purchased were great for those of us who knew nothing about what we were doing, but they're wooden and I don't think people get a good feel for them. So and again, this is just a suggestion. We could look at maybe picking up 4 beginner's paddles. So that's like, $40 each or whatever. And then we're always, for the pickleball classes, I think if we could add some outdoor balls to the group, I think people bring their own and they're always looking for them. And I think it would be good, since it's a COA activity, to provide balls for the classes as well. So.
Did Josie get her new racket yet? I know she's waiting for it.
It's due, they say, before 9 p.m. next Wednesday. So hopefully I'll have it for Thursday pickleball. But
Okay, good.
you know what I was thinking, and this I don't see any place in here where it would go, but it would be really nice if we had like a backstop at the park where you could just, while you're not playing, if you don't have enough people for a team or whatever, but could just go down there and hit the ball against the backstop and practice that way. I would love that, but maybe next year.
Yeah, I mean, we also have to remember we're getting 2 new pickleball courts built this month.
Oh, nice. Yeah.
And so we'll have, or this summer, I'm sorry. It's hopefully by August. The bid opening is in June, is this month. So, and then we'll have the 2 courts that we use there. So we should have up to 4 courts. And,
where are those going to be?
Next to the basketball court.
Actually, maybe when they put those up, they could put up a backstop.
I think that's probably not in the bid spec.
That's not what?
In the bid specifications.
Oh, right. True.
And I'm not sure where you would put that, where it had a surface as well. So
It's a good thought, though. I understand. We had some folks at the center today and they're looking to open, and they asked, well, do you have a pool table? And I said, no, but they do have like portable ping pong tables or something like that. I'm not sure we have room for it, but anyway, I understand. Just something, to stay busy and do exercise.
Yeah, and even if you're just by yourself, that would be nice. But I have to say, I'm loving it.
Okay, good.
I'm not good at it, but I'm loving it.
But you're getting better every day.
It's like fishing, you're out in the open air with good people, although fishing can be done alone too. But there's benefits just to be out with other folks and
Oh, yeah.
trying.
So the volunteer luncheon, again, if it goes over the $1,000, Joan, do we have money in the expense account then too? So I think we just have to remember that.
I'm going to go over that with Flo tomorrow.
Okay, all right. And then the wages, the piano.
And you said
repair,
Flo is in the office, so we can call her for RSVP.
Yeah, so we're taking messages. I mean, I've gotten a lot of people just leave a message. I got Renee's response, and people will just call and just leave a message, which is fine. And if you're having a guest, let us know, and we need to, we'll collect the money, the $12 on the picnic day.
Okay.
So I haven't responded. Am I supposed to respond?
You can respond right now if you'd like, Josie.
I plan to be there.
I do think the invitation requests the RSVP. So, right?
She just did.
Yep.
Oh, she did. Let's spread the
I'm gonna
word.
be there also with Anita.
Oh, good.
Okay, good.
Thank you.
And I'll be there as well.
Great.
And right now, I can tell you later, but right now it looks like Kathy will be able to join me.
Great.
To be honest, I haven't asked Doric yet, but maybe I will.
So how many people, Joan, do you have RSVPs from so far?
So with this 2 or 4, there's about 20, 25, I think, right now, which is under. And Renee did respond. Is she still with us? Renee, you don't need to pay $12. You're our liaison, and you're considered a volunteer to us. So you don't have to pay $12.
Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah, there's, I looked at the list today, but Flo has been taking numbers as well. So again, that's part of our meeting tomorrow, is to kind of see where we're at, maybe have to make some phone calls to see if folks are coming or not coming.
Great. Good. Yeah, it's probably good to follow up with people. Okay. Any other questions or anything else that's not on this list that, and again, we have less than a month to pull this off. Joan, you let us know what you need from a help standpoint.
Mm-hmm.
Besides to put more work on you, how else we can help?
So I have a question.
Yes.
A question from a novice here. So on the Friends, if there's an item that's on our wish list, but it's not here listed, do we talk to the Friends about it and they decide if they want to contribute something to the council?
Yes.
Okay.
Yep. If there's something that we need, yep, that's what they're all about.
They just gave us, and maybe you saw it the other day, an outdoor news stand so we can keep our newsletters and our trip flyers and everything outside so people can just drive by and pick them up so they're available. So that was donated by Friends.
That's a great addition.
Yeah, it's great. I'm sorry we didn't have it months ago, right, Joan? Who would have thought? Yes. No, it's a great addition. Even if people aren't coming to the center, but they want to pick up the newsletter, it's great to have there. The other thing we talked about, Joan, before, the benches that we donated, that we purchased for the tennis courts that will be moving to the pickleball. Well, at least one will be moving to the pickleball court. I'd love to get a plaque on it that says compliments of the Southampton Council on Aging, because we're not the only people that use them. And, I think we need to show that we're good town citizens here. So
That's a great idea.
I have to pick up the plaques for the volunteer luncheon. I may do that Friday, so I will ask them. So something that has a sticky back.
either adhesive or we screw them through. I don't know how they do it, Joan. But yeah, something that just says the compliments of the Southampton Council on Aging.
Okay.
Because not everybody knows what COA means. So we'll
Yeah, Council on Aging, and you want two.
Yeah, one for each bench.
Okay.
I just think it's a nice thing that we gave to the community, and it would be nice for people to realize that.
And maybe it will be better to be screwed, because if it is glued with the weather, it could be removed.
I'm not sure what it's made of. It's made of some kind of a plastic.
Hard
material.
plastic, but I think you could probably, ask the guy if you pick up the things, he would probably have a recommendation. It's a very durable plastic.
Okay.
So
We could do both.
we could do both. Okay.
So can I ask a question about the new pickleball courts? Do you know when they're supposed to be in, or?
The bid opening is June 16th.
Okay.
So then it becomes whoever wins the bid, the scheduling of the work. So I think
And-
they're going to try to get them in before the Let's Celebrate Southampton.
And they'll be strictly pickleball, not,
Pickleball.
we don't need a separate portable nets and things like that.
Well, by the number, right now, if we have more than 8 people, we take up the tennis courts, and sometimes we're in the middle of pickleball and a tennis player comes, and we don't want to take tennis away from people.
Mm-hmm.
So, even if we use the lines that are on the tennis court, so we have 2 courts there and 2 courts that are built for pickleball, 2 pickleball courts, then we can accommodate 16 people, which our group is growing. And there is that. So we'll still use those nets for the other side. But
Right, but for the
everybody-
new ones,
Yeah.
they're strictly pickleball.
Yeah. And
Okay.
anybody can play at any time unless we are there. No. So it's, you have to depend to set up the net. And so it'll be, there's kids that play in school. They teach it at Hampshire Regional. So I think they'll be busy. So,
Fastest growing sport in the country.
yes. And if you ever wanted to see what pickleball courts look like before they're done, take a drive to Nonotuck Park, back by the soccer fields. They have 2 pickleball courts that were built last year.
Ah,
So, and they'll probably look very similar. So,
I remember bringing the idea to, it was just like the silent auction. People had to research it. What is pickleball and how far you've come in a couple of years.
yep. Yep. Liz did a lot of research at the time too.
Yes.
Liz Pluff.
Yes.
Okay. So I think the next thing on the agenda is opening of the center. So at the select board meeting last night, and then I'll let Rini take this over, the select board, I think, voted and recommended and voted to have open town hall as of June 16th. Because, everything gets lifted June 15th. And so the select board meets on the 15th. So Rini, do you want to share any?
Yeah, basically we voted to have the town hall open on the 16th because the emergency order is being lifted by the governor on the 15th. So we have a meeting of the select board on the 15th, so we'll be meeting by Zoom. What we don't know is whether or not the governor is going to sign an order saying that it's okay to resume Zoom meetings. So we don't know what the outcome of that, so we didn't really make a determination about that. But we did say that the town hall could open once the emergency order is lifted. From what I understand, the supplies for the plexiglasses are up, and there's plenty of cleaning supplies, and there was no reason, according to Ed, why the department heads and the staff wasn't okay with the opening. So as of the 16th, it's opening. Lucy spoke and said that she's run the elections during the pandemic and doesn't see any issue with the election happening on the 22nd. So it's officially opening on the 16th. But the meeting piece is still a little bit on hold until we know what the governor, there's been a request that there be allowance for continuation of some kind of a hybrid meeting. So as of right now, we're all supposed to be back meeting in person starting the 16th, but we're thinking that might change between now and then.
And full opening, we can have people in, and there may be some distancing or masks. We don't.
Well, I think right now that masks for anybody that's not vaccinated, and also case tracing for anybody coming into the building. So
Which department do that, Rini? I mean, I know Lucy said she was going to start doing her own case tracing sign-in.
No, I asked her about that. I think what she meant was that there is one form that you should probably get if you don't have one from Jerry Swanson. What she said is it's not being done like when someone enters the building at the front door. It's being done by office when people come into the office. So she said she's doing her own meeting. She's taking a form and she's keeping track of who comes into her office, and just making a note of what their name and phone number is in the event that there's an outbreak.
We have that already in place from Jerry.
Good, good. Yeah. So, and we have a reception desk, so we can have somebody there greeting people as they come in and make sure they sign. Is there plexiglass in front of the first desk as you come in? Yeah.
I used the one we had in the kitchen.
Okay.
And put it on the desk.
And is there only one side has plexiglass on the desk?
Correct.
So you may want to ask Ed about putting plexiglass on both sides.
I can.
Because people are going to walk by. I mean, that person at the desk, once they walk by the desk, are going to be there. So not, again, it's, if we're going to go with the plexiglass, I just want to make sure everybody's comfortable. Whoever sits at that reception desk is comfortable.
I did. Darlene did use it the other day. The only thing, we're still missing a phone, but she was able to do scheduling and all kinds of things with a computer. We have an extra computer, so.
Good. And we have the gate, because I think this is, again, Janet speaking that from an advisory board perspective. We have the gate that we got for the door that perhaps will keep people from piling into the office at this moment. Maybe we won't need it forever, but it's probably good to remind people that maybe they shouldn't have 6 or 7 people in your office at the same time.
Sure, I'll make sure that it's installed.
Yeah, we're feeling our way through this, so. And I'm sure we won't be having lunches during the summer inside, so I think we're good there.
That was, Janet, if I could interrupt for 1 second. Lunches at the meeting yesterday, the Friends meeting, it was determined they wouldn't even consider anything before October.
Okay, good. Yeah, those are usually, and we can have, with outdoor furniture, coffee outside, right, Joan?
We've been having it right since March or April. Some days are better than others.
So do you see any reason, Joan, not to open the center on June 16th to Healthy Bones and Balance, to whatever classes? I know we don't have them on the calendar. I don't know.
Line dancing is eager to come back, and they're eager to come back. People have their vaccinations. They want to come see books. They want to use the equipment, the treadmill and the bike, etc. And
we have things available to them if they want to sanitize after they're complete or before they start.
We always have had that. Even before the pandemic, they had that procedure. But there's plenty available, and we'll make sure that people understand that we're still going to keep at a high sanitizing state where people are sanitizing when they come in, and just so that we know that people are safe. And again, we may, with the flu season in the fall, who knows? We may continue this for a long time.
Anybody on the board have any questions or concerns about going back to, okay, Sylvia, you're muted, so you're going to, yeah. Okay, Sylvia?
Well, yeah, you know about this, Janet. There's some issues that are not really openly spoken with folks in regards to vaccinations. I'm somebody that has had a transplant, and folks with immunosuppression system, the vaccinations are not effective. I'm one of those cases. and not only people with transplants, but folks that have some kind of illnesses or diseases in which their bodies do not are not ready, even with the vaccine. And so, in regards to wearing masks in public, now that we hear on the news all the time, only once I've heard on the evening news on CBS. That somebody openly has spoken about that. There is an article on the New York Times, and NPR also had a report on it. And it's the only time that I have heard about that. I've been in touch with Johns Hopkins about it. There have been some studies done, and Moderna, they're doing it with Pfizer, and they're just beginning to do it with Johnson & Johnson. And the percentage of folks with transplants that have gotten antibodies is very low. And so, and there's not in the near future, there's not really much in regards to booster shots for folks like us. So I just want to bring that up because folks our age, we don't know. And we don't know who has been vaccinated. We don't know. It's like the honor system. We believe that you have gotten vaccination, but we don't know if we cannot ask. It's like a forbidden subject. And so just the issue of masks and distancing, just to be alert about that. If people, continue to I've been wearing masks for 11 years since I had my transplant, whenever I'm in public transportation, because know that, whatever people may have, a cold that regularly lasts 2 weeks on folks, it lasts 2 months on me. And so, or any other infectious illness. And so we just need to be aware of that. I'm ready with my one-liners when people ask me. When I started 11 years ago and I started wearing masks in airplanes, some people are not really nice about when they see you with a mask. And but I was ready. And so not insulting, not being nasty, just, letting them know without giving explanation as to, what is my issue, what is my problem. So I just want folks to be aware about that.
Is there some kind of posting, maybe we can print up a couple things for the center, or there's got to be some catchy slogans out there about people that are still opting to wear masks, and it's your right. So
yes, we talked about it at the department head meeting. There's a comfort level, like if somebody, out of respect to other people, if somebody's wearing a mask, to put on a mask. So
yeah, that's interesting you say that, Joan, because I noticed at the post office, and I've been going every day for my mail, people are wearing their mask and it's just automatic now for me to do it, and it is out of respect for them. But my other concern is we talk about healthy bones, and we talk about bingo. We bring them into the center. The governor has still, the schools are questionable, but senior facilities and nursing homes, he still wants people in a mask. How does that affect a senior center? Is he looking at the age factor? I can't get into Charlie Baker's head, so I don't know what he's thinking.
I would say whatever the recommendation is from the governor and from the Board of Health, if we need to open and still wear masks, I respect whatever the advice they give us.
Yeah, I think our Board of Health needs to give direction as to how to work it when you're dealing with the senior population.
We certainly have gotten used to wearing them, for sure.
And if it's a distancing problem, now we have an issue.
Because we're a small facility.
Right.
There's a lot of confusion about, the guidelines and so forth. The other day when I was watching Channel 191, before I forgot what meeting it was, but they were showing their slides, and they had stuff that was so outdated. It was from March of 2020. And that just adds to the confusion. I don't really know if anybody ever polices or curates, what Channel 191 puts up. Fortunately, they're very hard to read. But if you really try to read it, they've got all sorts of conflicting information. Have you noticed that too, Sylvia? You're nodding. Yeah. Yes.
I have to send this recording to Tim to Riley from Easthampton, and I can also forward that message that some of the March 2020 guidelines need to be updated or done away with.
Yeah.
Greenie?
Easthampton Media that needs to do it.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah, so Tim Riley goes to it. Yep. Greenie?
I just want to mention that since this whole pandemic began, one of the most difficult parts about being in healthcare is that I'm constantly making rules and decisions and protocols and policies based on changing things all the time. And I think that's been one of the difficulties of all of this, is that you're basically trying to make rules around when are people tested, what can they wear, what about if they're symptomatic, how are they screened. We just had a meeting today, and we're transitioning from N95 and respirator mask to surgical mask, changing once a day. So I just feel like, it's been a problem everywhere, trying to make decisions based on where you are, and I think that even when you say that it's important that you stick with reputable sources like CDC, DPH, instead of trying to respond to, other sources, it's still not 100% clear. We're dealing with nursing homes and hospitals and home care and staff in the office. And it's been what's been making the last year so terrible and difficult. And on the municipal side, it's the same thing. I was going to warn everybody, but, last night we we put a moratorium in place around door-to-door solicitation. We don't have the power to do that, on a regular basis, but only because there's an emergency order from the governor. So as of the 16th, and believe me, the lawyer for Trinity Solar has already written to me this morning, as soon as the select board meeting was over, saying, did you lift the moratorium on door-to-door solicitation? And so we had to. We don't have the authority not to in the absence of an emergency. So I wanted to let Joan, that if you do get calls from seniors that people are coming to their door, what we did have to do at the recommendation of the health director is to tell them that they have to keep their health and safety protocols in place until September 30th, 2021, which says that they ring the door, they step back, they keep 6 foot distance, they wear a mask, so anyway, it's just been a challenge all around. And you can't, mandate masks. You can't ask for copies of an immunization, cards. So, it's just tough no matter how you look at it.
Okay. So as far as any direction from the Board of Health, I'm looking at the schedule. There's no meeting. There
is one on the 9th. I think it's the 9th or 10th.
It was canceled, Rini.
Right, but that was because they scheduled one on the 10th that maybe hasn't been scheduled yet.
Okay, it's not scheduled yet. Okay.
Unfortunately for me, it's pretty much usually a 48-hour notice.
Mm-hmm.
But I did get an email, thankfully, from Kate, that said the Board of Health meeting is supposedly 5:30 on the 10th at Kona Park. That's why I asked last night at the select board meeting, how do you go about scheduling a meeting at Kona Park? Because I have another meeting scheduled at Kona Park at 6 o'clock on the same day.
Yeah.
So my question is, were they both authorized by the Park Commission? But right now it's 5:30 on the 10th.
Okay. Good. It's not posted yet. So I don't know if they're going to take some action at that point in time to make recommendations, but I think we just have to, again, support anyone who chooses to wear a mask and make sure that that's our message. And maybe we say it's recommended but not required, or I think that's what Lucy said. She was going to put something like masks are recommended but not required, or, so I guess you have a department head meeting tomorrow, Joan, so maybe you'll get some more information from that, okay?
And Jonathan has a
Jonathan.
question.
Yes.
Yeah, we might not have any choice, but I'm not comfortable with people being, who have not been vaccinated, being inside buildings anywhere, if they're not wearing masks. And I, for one, despite being vaccinated, at least for the foreseeable future, if I go into a grocery store or other retail establishment, I'm going to wear a mask. The reality is, I would be very surprised if we see many people in stores, people that are wearing masks. I think that there'll be quite a few unvaccinated people in the stores and in a lot of establishments who are not vaccinated, but they're not going to be wearing masks. I don't feel safe yet. I feel safe getting together with my friends indoors without masks, possibly some outdoor, and certainly outdoor gatherings. But I think we just don't know enough yet. And I also think, come this fall, it could be a different game as we see more, if there's, other variants out there that the vaccine is not totally effective against. I certainly respect, the difficult decisions that Rini and anyone in a position of having to make these decisions is in. But I think the reality is that people aren't going to be wearing masks. I, for one, would rather not put up any signs that say respect people's decision not to wear, to wear masks, because then people are going to say, well, then I should have the right not to wear a mask. It just might be, if we're not going to require a mask of anyone, then then I'd rather not say respect the decision either way, because I don't respect the decision of unvaccinated people not to wear a mask. I realize there's very little I can do with it, but we're walking into, we're entering some uncertain territory, I think, despite what people are saying about the safety of the vaccine. It's safe for now, I think, but we'll see what happens.
How about if you're vaccinated, masks are optional?
Well, that's what we're told is the policy, but I'm just saying.
And a sign.
Well, yeah, but I'm going to continue to wear my mask when I go into stores.
Yeah, I tend to also.
I just don't trust it. There are going to be a lot of unvaccinated people walking around without masks now that they're not required to, or just being asked, to wear a mask.
It was very, the day after, or the day of the lifting of the mask, to go into Big Y and to Walgreens and see so many people without masks, I was quite surprised.
It's inevitable. Once that decision was made, and the CDC said it was safe for that to happen, but. As I said, I don't think, for a number of reasons, it was inevitable, but it may also be inevitable that there could be some problems. But we'll see.
And then Rini's off, but I don't know that they made a recommendation as a board to request people to wear masks. Did they, Rini? Inside?
No.
So again, I don't know at the senior center, again, we're simply advisory board.
Yeah.
Whether or not, I do think we should say something about masks recommended,
I think we have a responsibility, however you would define that word, but a responsibility to those who use the senior citizen, the senior center, to make it clear that people who enter who have not been vaccinated should wear masks.
I don't think we can say who have not been vaccinated. I think that we need to say either they're recommended or they're not.
I'm sorry. To say the Board of Health has determined
Well, we can't quote the Board of Health until they.
No, we need the Board of Health to step up and give us direction as to how we should be handling this.
Well, and I also
would
think,
reiterate mine. If you are vaccinating, masks are optional.
and I'm saying, I'm
Yeah.
not sure that we should be that loose, Jim.
I think,
You can't say,
Inside the senior center, which is not a very big facility, and Joan, you have to weigh in, and I think, as well, because we can only give you recommendations, but I think that we should, this is a small area. Are we going to say mask recommended or not? I don't know, Joan, have you thought
if
about it?
you're opening up, though, being realistic, and I agree with you, Jonathan. I still wear a mask. I've got health issues that I don't want to complicate with COVID. But if in a senior center, you're going to have people drinking coffee or eating, maybe, they're not going to wear a mask there.
Well, understandable that while they're sitting drinking coffee.
And a lot of seniors find it difficult breathing if they're doing exercise. So that's why trying to accommodate everybody. You're saying that, if you're not vaccinated, you wear a mask. And it's the person who's not vaccinated who needs the mask.
I understand, but I'm not sure legally that we can make that comment.
I think there are two recommendations. The one that says if you're vaccinated, masks are optional, or masks recommended but not required.
Yeah.
well, why not leave out the word required altogether and just say
Masks recommended.
recommended? Joan, I think we need to be asking you, since you have contact regularly with those who use the center, what people's feelings might be if they know that unvaccinated, people are there that might come in, whether they're members using the center or there for some other reason, who aren't wearing masks.
So what are they going to do for the election? Does anybody know what they're going to do for the election? Are they going to require people wear masks in the
I
election?
think they're going to say recommended.
Okay. So
I don't think
we
they're-
never have that many people. We have maybe 20 at the most. At one time we're allowed to have 75 people, which I don't think I've ever had since I've been there. 60 was probably the largest group I ever remember. But I would say for 90% of the people are vaccinated. I know of only one of the 50 that I've seen in the last 3 months that refuses the vaccine. He doesn't come very often. If he comes outside, he does stand away from people. So, I don't know everybody. I know they're responsible. They're anxious to get in the center and, look at books or do whatever they, and people don't stay long either. They stay for an hour class and they leave, or they just come in, to say hello and visit for a little bit and they leave. There, maybe 45 minutes to an hour tops. And we can still continue with the outside as much as, we can push the outside, but we were doing by appointment only, having people make appointments to come in, but I don't think that's really necessary.
Yeah, I was just wondering what those who use the center, how they feel about it. Here's my recommendation, and then I've got to run on. I've got to be somewhere, but my recommendation is, and if Rini, if you're still here, that the word recommended not be used when talking about masks, that the word requested be used. That's not required, requested. Recommendation means nothing. I think to a lot of people, it's people ignore it. People are going to ignore request as well, but maybe a few people will say, okay, it's being asked of me, and I think it is a stronger word than recommended, falls very short of required. So that would be my recommendation, my request, that you use the word mask, when talking about masks, that if unvaccinated, it's requested that you wear a mask.
I agree with Lori. Am I on mute? Yeah. I agree with Lori. I think we should have gotten clear direction from the Board of Health and Health Director. When this first came to us that it was during a emergency like COVID meeting, we were meeting every 2 weeks, police, fire, ed, me, Health Director, EMD. When that first came about with the dates, I think the Health Director had said something about opening up in September or some sort of a plan for sort of gradual increase in September. And I think that seemed unrealistic to me, given everything else that was going on in other towns that were already open and so forth. So then nothing really came in terms of anything in writing or anything. So we basically just, Ed said that there was very little, opposition and people were ready to go. Lucy spoke up saying ready to go. Joan said ready to open whenever. But the details of that in terms of mask and protocols and distancing and such, it almost seems like we're swinging the pendulum a little bit too far.
Yeah, I'm concerned, and I realize that there's a lot of political consideration, certainly at the federal and the state level, on how you play this thing about, wanting people to feel that they got vaccinated for a reason. But, I just think there's a lot of questions that need to be asked, and once a decision is made, then I think we need to find out the best way to do it that still protects people. That's why I'm suggesting that if they're not going to be required, and that's fine.
Well, it's interesting.
But that we talk about requests or recommend just the best way in order to get people who are unvaccinated to mask themselves.
And Jonathan, you're specifically saying unvaccinated are requested, not people in general. I just want to clarify, understand clearly what you're...
Because I think no one's going to, very few people, very small percentage of people, if anyone's going to say that vaccinated people should be asked to wear masks in certain situations. I think until there's a recommendation at the national, from CDC about that, then we can't do that. But it's unvaccinated people, and I understand you don't want to single unvaccinated people out, but I mean,
sure we do. Except unless it's a medical.
Yeah, but people need to be protected, and there may be some pushback if you say unvaccinated people are requested to wear masks.
Was it a surprise to anybody that they opened businesses Saturday of Memorial Day weekend, but they lifted the emergency order on the 15th of June? I mean, obviously decisions are being made that aren't entirely based on medical science.
Yeah.
I think we need to also remember to have people social distance, because, if you get, I don't know what you're doing now, if you're even doing anything with bingo. Bye, Jonathan.
Bingo's by Zoom right now.
But, you can't fill up those round tables with people elbow to elbow. You got to have some limits and keep the social distancing going, I think, for a while.
And I hate to say this, but we're really a nice group of people. There will be people out there that are unvaccinated and are going to lie through their teeth. How do you know? We can't ask for documentation. So somebody comes in, they're not vaccinated, they say they are. And, those are the ones that refuse to wear the mask. Where are we then?
When we don't know. It's a lot of unknowns, but I think, it's good, Lori, maybe in bingo or maybe in some of the other classes that might be coming inside Healthy Bones to kind of get a reading. Are people really comfortable coming in without mask, even if you've been vaccinated, just to get a reading? But I think we do have to ask the Board of Health, what they recommend,
that's their job. Give us direction.
If it's the 10th at 5:30 at Conant Park, then and you have questions, please come. So, all right, we're going to need to move on. Joan, give us an update after your directors meeting tomorrow, because I'm sure there'll be a lot of discussion on the subject, right? So, one other thing I added to the agenda that I want to kind of have a vote from this group. And it's a vote for a recommendation, not a vote for authority. The community chorus has always used the senior center for practice purposes. And that's our Southampton community chorus. It's not affiliated with the church, it's a community chorus. And they've used the facility before, and I know they would like to start doing that again sometime down the road. And so I wanted to open that up for discussion and to see whether or not you would be supportive of that. That would be after hours at night. If you ever went to a select board meeting on a Tuesday night while they were rehearsing, it was a nice distraction. So, Joan, do you want to say anything? Because I know you've been very supportive of this.
It's actually on Wednesdays now. Maybe there was
okay.
one tie-up where they changed the date, and you're right. It doesn't work when there's another program going on.
Yeah.
Because it's loud enough. But I'm excited that anybody wants to use our center. I think I'd love to see the center used more. And I'm supporting whatever, if I support them coming back.
I think, because we've talked about opening the church, and I mean, we're going very cautiously, and not going to be, we're expecting maybe by September where we might actually have in sanctuary services. But in talking about the choir and singing, the feeling at this point is you can have singing if there are masks for singing. Apparently they look like duck masks. I don't know. I haven't seen them. But, I think that at least initially, depending on when they want to start.
It would be the fall. It's for their Christmas concert. So it's the fall.
That, that they probably, well, maybe we need to think about this, but suggest that the singers have these singing masks. Have you heard anything about that, Jim, in terms of singing masks?
Yeah. I know that Kathy uses it, or was using it, I think, at Williston for some performances. And singing sprays stuff in the air, so it is a concern. But, so I think we need guidance from the Board of Health as to what precautions the chorus should be taking in terms of wearing masks. But I think that's something that's not mentioned, and again, I'm biased because I belong to the chorus, is that there are a lot of senior citizens who belong to the chorus.
Yeah.
I think, correct me if I'm wrong on this, Josie, but I think we had as high as 42 singers, and about a half of them were seniors from Southampton, and probably 75% are seniors. Would you think that's about right?
That sounds pretty good to me, yeah.
Yeah. So it is a senior activity pretty much.
And in that space, at least I don't think I went the last year that you were going there, but I'm hoping to go again. But that's kind of a tight space. So you're elbow to elbow. And that makes me nervous. I mean, that would be one of my concerns about joining this year.
So I think we're confusing the issues, though, if I may say so. We're not singing in the choir. Maybe you guys are, but as the COA board and as the uses of our facility, the chorus does have responsibility to care for their members.
Mm-hmm.
That's not our job. I think all of you will be certain, and the Board of Health will have some jurisdiction over, how this takes place. We're not going to be there. While we, Joan and the other members that aren't part of the community chorus, our job, our recommendation is simply to say, following the guidelines that are set forth, are we okay sharing our facility? as far as CDC and whether you wear masks, I mean, that's up to the community chorus to, I think, put those, and the Board of Health to make those decisions. We're not going to be there. It'll be cleaned afterwards. I guess the question is, are we okay if we share our facility without going, as long as they follow the guidelines that need to be followed, which I'm going to assume at 75% of them are senior citizens. That's their decision. So, Rini?
I just want to say that I'm not sure that a vote by this board is going to prevent people from using it. I mean, it's taxpayer money, it's the site, it's the, it's the town's building. And Ed Gibson is the one that's in charge of authorizing use. I just want to let you know that in the past, there have been problems with, and I think it was because of rehearsal during the day, but I know the town clerk's office was somewhat bothered by use and hearing of music, and it was during the day. So
No, it was during the
a
evening.
little bit of history there.
It's never been, Rini, I don't think it's ever been used by the chorus during the day.
No, it was an evening.
Day.
It was an evening rehearsal, and evidently Lucy was.
Don't forget she's there on Tuesday evening, so there was some history of it being problematic. And so I just want to let you know, I don't know what the protocol is, but I do know that Ed Gibson was authorized. We don't have a policy, but I think in the absence of that, the use goes through Ed Gibson, and I don't know that a vote here would actually prevent or allow it.
Yeah, no, and again, this is just a recommendation to either support it or not. This is not a decision, because it does have to, as I've spoken to the members from there, they have to, Ed, it goes through Ed, but I'm just asking, they come to me for their support, and I'm saying I'm one member of a board.
Okay.
I may say yes, but the rest of the board may feel differently. So given that they follow proper protocols, do we have any reason that Lucy can speak up. That's up to other members. But if it's now on a Wednesday and not on a Tuesday, that problem is solved.
I would be in support of it. I mean, they've used it before. It hasn't been a problem. We are not in charge of these adults. They have their, they have their rules and regulations that they'll be following. And again, as Rini said, Ed will make the final decision. We're just saying that we don't object to them using the facility.
Right, and I'd also say that the chorus is a good neighbor, and obviously we would respect the people who are conducting town business. And for one reason, for example, we used to be facing towards the inside wall. And then we moved, so we'd be singing out towards the kitchen to reduce the sound, going into the offices. Because, Lucy had a legitimate complaint, and had we known about it while it was happening, I'm sure an accommodation would have been made.
Okay, so again, it's just, we're advisory board. We have no authority, but would we like to support when they come to Joan and say, can we use your center, and will you come with me to meet with Ed, to talk about this? I just want to give her either some support or direction that you have the board behind you, even though we're just an advisory board. This is, again, as Rini said, and if I didn't make it clear at the beginning, this is not our decision. It's not our worry. Do we want to, share our town facility with other, they sang at the Christmas, they came in and did a concert for us one year. So I think, Jim, I'm going to ask you to recuse yourself as a member of the community chorus. And I will ask Sylvia to step in and vote one way or the other. Okay. But I need a motion from someone. Lori, you started to make a motion. You think you should. Did you want to make that into a motion?
Sure, I'll make a motion that, that we allow the community chorus.
No, that we support
We support
the
community chorus.
Utilizing the Council on Aging room.
Thank you.
Okay, is that good?
Do you want to say with following the appropriate guidelines?
That's
That's up to Ed to step in and.
Yeah, that's not our that doesn't go for us. I don't think we have to go that deep into it.
We're just allowing them to use the facility,
We're just supporting them. We're not even allowing them.
supporting.
We're
Gotta bring
supporting.
I second.
Sylvia seconds it. Again, and for a little bit more discussion, people come to me and say, will you support me? And I'm saying, I don't want to speak for the board. So we have a motion to support them utilizing the Council on Aging. We have a second. Can we do a roll call vote, please? Lori,
Yes.
Sylvia,
Yeah.
Josie?
I was wondering if you wanted me to recuse.
Oh, are you on the
myself.
course too?
Well, I was for the summer during the Zoom stuff.
Okay, but if you're
Not worth much, but, and
Okay.
I was expecting I probably
Okay,
would.
I'll recuse you as well then. Catherine?
Yes.
Okay, and Janet, yes. Okay, so we have a 4 in favor, 2 recused. Thank you, Josie. I should have done that. So Joan, if you do go to meet, that you just say,
We support.
we support it, and we would expect, obviously, they would follow the protocols they want to follow, so. Okay, before my dogs go crazy, is there anything, there's nobody here for open time? Oh, boy. Schedule next meeting. We usually skip July, right, and meet in August?
Yeah, because I think July brings us right into July 4th. Unless you're serving hot dogs that day.
It would be the 7th, but that's what Friends do. I know we skip one during the summer. Probably
Yeah.
best skip July.
So it would be August 4th.
Okay, so next meeting is August 4th at 4 o'clock. Stay tuned, whether it will be outside under the awning, inside the senior center, or on Zoom.
Sounds good.
Okay, so let's stay tuned. All right,
Can you say what was the date? The 2nd?
August 4th,
Oh, so skipping July. Okay, thank you.
in July, yes.
August 4th. All right.
Because it would have been July 7th, and we can't have it on your birthday, Rini, so.
Oh, happy birthday. Early.
Same as Francine. We have the same birthday.
Francine.
Oh, very good. That's a good reason not to have a meeting.
We have a motion to adjourn the meeting.
I'll second.
Do we have a motion to adjourn?
Opposed?
I think
Okay,
we've
make a
gone,
motion.
Lori has made a motion to adjourn. Jim's
I'll
raised
second
his
it.
hand,
I will second it.
seconded. Yes, all in favor?
Aye.
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 All right. Well, thank you all very much. Lots of
Thank
you.
things today. Take care.
Bye-bye.
Picnic.
Aye.
See you at the picnic. And don't
Bye.
forget, the annual town meeting is at 9 o'clock,
Oh, I need
not
to
at 10 o'clock.
get that word out. 9
Yes,
o'clock.
I put it on the Council on Aging page today.
That's the 12th, right?
The 12th at 9 a.m., not 10 a.m.
Okay.
I have a wedding that day. I have my priority.
All right.
Hey,
All right,
congratulations,
bye-bye.
Lori.
Yeah. Actually, it's my oldest grandson.
Wow. Enjoy it.
We're leaving the meeting now. Goodbye.
Bye.